Hello, my name is Kiersten. This is my Roman History Project, Latin 4, 2009. Teacher, Miss Bryant. It's on ARMA, melee weapons. I hope that you enjoy it. Also, plagiarism counts with YouTube. So, if you feel like you want to use any of the information on this project, message me, ask me. Do not quote me word for word. I can help you with links, resources if necessary. But please don't copy my slides. I put a lot of work into it. Lots of love. Enjoy the presentation.
But I did my
applause.
Hush, Ben.
We're ready, Kiersten.
Thank you, Ryan. I did my project on weapons, specifically melee weapons. And I included close-range projectiles, even though they aren't melee, because they could be used in hand-to-hand combat. Melee weapons are like up close, like both weapons are touching at the same time.
Melee being like a riot.
Yes. But separated into groups. First I'm going to do short swords. I don't know exactly how to pronounce these, so bear with me. The Hoplite, Falcata, Mains Gladius, Pompeii Gladius, and Stave. And the Hoplite was taken from the Greeks because after they conquered Romans, they stole everything from other cultures, as was said recently. But it's used to arm legionnaires. Again, valued for its strength, simplicity, and it was added to other standard issue armor. The Romans, and it had a very short handle to help controllability. It also had like a specially formed handle, like for the soldiers, for a better grip. It was used like for slashing. The falcata, once again, something taken from the Greeks.
Yes.
It had a heavier, like a weighted head, shaped like a horse, in a way. That was used so that they could swing faster in multiple different directions quickly with less of a risk of losing grip on the sword. Mm-hmm. It's like chopping. And, it was single-edged, so this side of the blade is blunt, that one's sharp.
So you could stab or hit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very fun.
Sounds like great fun.
I want one.
I do too. Mains Gladius was again developed to penetrate enemy armor. This was once their enemies upgraded, shall we say. Their armor was different, so Romans went to attack and their weapons pretty much bounced right off. So the Romans had to develop a new way to attack, a new weapon, and this is what they came up with. Weapon had a shorter blade than previous swords at around 16 inches, and the blade was also wider. The blade was also wider with a 3-inch width. And the point was sharp and long. You can see here that the point ends right here, so it's tapering down to that point. That was bright. Hourglass shape, you can see there's an arrow pointing to it in the center. Got more narrow and then expanded. Double-edged, and nearing the end of the 1st century, the blades were narrowed and the points were elongated. So the point was even longer than that is now, and would probably be shortened down to about 2 inches in length.
Did they say anything about why they did an hourglass shape with the... Seems like that would be harder to forge.
Sure it would be. I remember I read something about it, but complete honesty, I can't remember what it was.
Sorry, I was just curious.
Don't be sorry, bad memory. Pompeii Gladius is again used for enemies without armor, such as the barbarians. Slashing, 2-inch blade width, and the sheath. Before sheaths were more intricate, they had a ring, like a metal ring at the top of them, but these utilized different ones. Blade width 2 inches. And then pommel. A pommel is a weighted ball at the end of a sword, the very end of the handle. You keep on looking at me confusedly. It's making me
Well, I don't know what a
nervous.
pommel is, so.
Oh,
please
sorry.
explain.
Okay, a pommel is like a weighted ring at the end of swords. It helps for balance and control of the weapon. Also, for a short period during the 2nd century, they changed it into a ring pommel, which is basically that, only with a hole in the center. That removed the need for a sheath, which in my idea wasn't exactly right. But removed the need for sheaths, and they held it like around their waist with a leather strap.
So I've always heard of a pommel as being a part of a saddle.
Yeah,
The
that's
ball that
another
you
word
hold
for a
onto.
pommel. Also the pommel horse in the other books. But and the staves. Staves were wooden training swords. This information was information on military training was recorded by Flavius Vegetus Renatus, and said the swords weighed double what they had to increase arm and torso strength and endurance. They had to practice twice daily, and the weapons masters, the people who taught them, emphasized forceful attacks on vital organs, not wasting your blows as it is, decreasing entropy, delivering lethal attacks. They made the soldiers practice again and again and again until they got it right, to make sure that they were attacking without leaving any open points, any vital areas left uncovered, shall we say. Long swords. The Sparta and the Gladius Hispaniensis. I think. The Sparta was used in cavalry and meant to combat. Before, they just had regular gladius, short blade. I'm going to use sexual innuendo for a minute. It was short, so they couldn't exactly hit their mark. So...
That on phone. You didn't get that, did you, Ryan?
Blue.
Good, we want to preserve your
Okay.
innocence.
So they expanded the sword and came up with this 40-inch length. Straight, it was a single-edged blade. 4th century, it became double-edged. Later versions were made shorter, so that increased control and speed of the weapon. And shorter swords were generally used against longer ones by the Romans for increased control.
Okay.
And again, easier to manipulate. And later, this became the basic sword style of those used by knights in medieval times, in Dark Ages.
Mhm.
The Gladius Hispaniensis, sword of Spain. Once they conquered Spanish, once they conquered the Spanish, they adopted their sword and was used in chariot warfare. 2-inch width, 34-inch length, around there. Straight blade, long point. Interesting thing, Romans had, up until this point, used swords made of iron. So, a little bit weak, kind of flimsy, comparatively. The Spaniards, however, had metal swords, like steel swords. So, that strengthened it. That was huge improvement and upgrade in technology. Daggers. The Cinquedie, Hugio, Perizonium, and the 2-edged Roman stiletto are 4 that I found most interesting, one to talk about. The Cinquedie's wide triangular blade was commonly used by civilians. I don't know where this means, but according to a source that I found on it, it was like stored over the ass, pardon my French. Also, I really don't think that was bright, but whatever you want to do.
Well, if you're walking, maybe, but not riding a horse.
But again, it was used by civilians. It was also used as like in cooking. It's a cutting blade. But like it's very rare to find them now. And they're also confused with the Hindu katar, which was found in India at one point. I think in the 1980s there was like a rush to get the katar, but there's a difference, but they're often confused. So